Cloud computing. What is it? Does anybody really know? And the new Disney film, Planes. Looks a lot like Pixar, but is it really? Also, the new GeoCosmos display from Mitsubishi. 10,000 OLED panels into one breathtaking display. All on This Week in Viz. Welcome to This Week in Viz for June 19th. Now, the big story this week was actually not very much to do about Viz, but was a guest post contributed by the Exascale Report's Mike Bernhardt. Now, in this article, they talked about some of the various numbers you see related to cloud computing coming out of different analysts groups. You can see that they all have widely varying projections as to how big the cloud computing market is going to get to. Why do they all have different projections? Well, you come to find out it's the same problem that people in the know have been griping about ever since the term gained popularity. What the heck is cloud computing? Not even the experts and analysts seem to know. They each have a different definition, and therefore they each have different projections. So again, this means you've really just got to read between the lines and forget about the whole cloud computing term and get down to what they are actually talking about. Are they talking about elastic compute? Are they talking about cluster management? Are they talking about remote resources? You've really just got to get down to the nuts and bolts to figure it out. It's an interesting article, although it is a short one. But it was the biggest story of the week on VizWorld. But getting back to more Viz-related matters, probably what I thought was the coolest article this week is the GeoCosmos display. Now, this was constructed by Mitsubishi Electronics for a Tokyo museum. And it's just over 10,000 OLED panels all put together into a giant 6-meter diameter sphere. Onto this sphere, they project a map of the planet Earth, which is fed some real-time satellite and cloud coverage data to keep it up to date. It's all animated, and there's a couple of kiosks set up around it to allow interaction. It is a museum, after all. It is just absolutely amazing to look at. I cannot fathom how much this must have cost for 10,000 OLED displays, but it's breathtaking to look at. You've got to watch the video if you haven't seen it already. Another big story this week was the announcement, or the somewhat discovery, of a new film coming out of Disney called Planes. Now, it looks to be a spin-off of their popular Cars and Cars 2 coming out in another week or so, where it takes place in the same universe. However, all the characters in this one are planes. The trailer has a decidedly Top Gun feel to it, with the underdog being a little single-prop plane that, of course, wants to play with the big dogs on the aircraft carrier. That alone, it looks like it could be cute. You can't really tell. However, it's interesting to see that this is being billed as a production of Disney Animation, not as of Pixar. Looks like this will be a direct-to-home video release. So it looks like this is just a little bit more of Disney milking a cash cow for every little bit they can. This, unfortunately, does not bode well for Pixar, but I'm sure Disney will make millions of dollars at it, and this will just convince them that they need to do it again with something else. Who knows what they'll pick up next. Maybe we'll see Monsters, Inc., where we get to see all the behind-the-scenes of what happened with Tully and his girlfriend. Who knows? This week also was the official release of the new PTC Creo. Now, this alone is an interesting announcement, but also on day one, Luxion Keyshot 2.0 was available, offering some really nice high-end renderings pretty much out of the box if you go and get the standard release of the software. This is a big deal because in the CAD and in design spaces, a lot of times they've just been content to deal with blueprint-style renderings. Giving them the ability to simply click a button and get photorealism out of their results is really going to take things to the next level for a lot of people. It's really going to raise the bar, and it's probably going to add a lot of requirements to people who haven't been doing this for very long. All of this bodes well for people in the graphics and visualization space, but it's going to put a little bit more stress on all the mechanical designers that haven't been doing this for very long. There was also a great article this week from Enrico Bertini, I believe is his name. In this, he was at a conference recently talking about visualization. There were several big names there, but however, most of these big names were more on the graphics design side of things, which isn't a problem. There's a lot of emphasis on making these graphics clear and concise and pretty to look at. However, Enrico is like me, he's on the scientific side of things. So he got up there and made the very bold statement that visualization is not necessary. Of course, he had everybody in the audience, dropping their jaws, until he followed up with, it is indispensable. And he postulated that we need to stop looking for places where we can interject visualization and go back and look at the places where visualization has become a requirement of their day-to-day operations. See what we can do for those people to make things better. It's a great article. You should definitely go check it out. The link is available accompanying this podcast. One last announcement was that Indigo, we haven't talked about Indigo in a very long time, but they just released the new version 3.0 of their software, including the new Indigo RT, the real-time system. You can take a look at some of the 2.0 and 3.0 comparisons and see they've really made some huge strides in some of the new features they've added. I particularly was impressed by the new bump mapping effects that they've added, but they've also done some pretty significant performance boosts and lots of other things. If you're an Indigo user, you definitely want to go check this out. So the infographic of the week this week is a little bit different. This one did not come from Diageo, but it's an interesting visualization that I dug up about unpaid work around the world. Now, unpaid work, they're classifying as all the crap that you do day to day that you don't get paid for. So this is all of your shopping, housework, laundry, everything else you have to do. They break it down by country into an interesting spiral design that makes it very easy to compare neighboring countries. And then they also break it down below that into male and female in each one. You can see some pretty interesting trends in the data. It's altogether a pretty interesting way to put together some data that I've never thought to look at before. So that's why I decided to choose it as this week's infographic of the week. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this week's episode here. As you can see, I'm broadcasting from a remote location. This week happens to be Portland, Oregon. I'm here for some other business. But I do know that this last week I did not fulfill the promise to announce the contest that we're going to have. So all of you podcast listeners and watchers out there, you get the inside scoop this week. The new VizWorld Contest this week will be for a Quadro 4800 video card given to me by NVIDIA. This is one of their high-end CAD rendering cards. I believe it comes with 1.5 gig of RAM. It's a beautiful card. It's in mint condition, and it's yours. So how do you enter? All you have to do is go and sign up for the VizWorld mailing list. I'm going to run this contest for 2 weeks. At the end of that 2 weeks, one lucky VizWorld newsletter subscriber will get their hands on a brand new Quadro 4800. So go ahead and sign up now. This will not go on the website for a few more days, so you get a chance to get a jump in. If you manage to sign up before I put the article on the website, I'll double your entry chances. So that's the news. You heard it here first. Go ahead and sign up for the mailing list. Get your crack at the new Quadro 4800. And after that, we've got plenty more contests, and I've got lots more hardware to give away. So for now,